Today I'm going to talk about demographic targeting and show you a couple examples and some things to look for. So demographics in Google means just a few things, and you can get there. So right now I'm looking at all campaigns, and if I click demographics here, it's going to show me for all the campaigns, the demographic data. You can also look at specific campaigns or specific ad groups to look at the demographic information. But since this is basically just one service being offered, I want to look at this for the whole account. So I'm going to click demographics right here. And then you can see the options are age, gender, household income, and then combinations and exclusions. You can also see that it takes me to the ad group view. So right now it's showing me one line for every ad group in this whole account. What I can do is switch this to campaign view. Now, sometimes when you click this drop down, it's grayed out, like you can't choose one of these options, even though you should be able to. If that's happening to you, just refresh the page and you should be able to see all these options. So I'm going to look at the account view. And this is going to show me for the whole account the combined data. So these are the age ranges we have to work with. You can't get any more specific than this. These are the ranges we can look at. And then you can see for each of these age ranges the average cost per conversion. So 18 to 24-year-olds, 25 to 34-year-olds, is looking to be the best, both in terms of cost per conversion and conversion rate. And that makes sense that age group would be the ones to call and hire junk removal companies. And then as we go up in age, the cost per conversion gets higher, the conversion rate gets lower. So does this mean that we should exclude anyone over 55 from seeing the ad? Well, that depends. If the cost per conversion is way too high and it's not profitable, then yes, you could exclude those ages. But if this is profitable, I would say no, don't exclude them. Maybe make some other adjustments. So if you want to exclude an age group, you can go to the exclusions section and add an exclusion, select the campaign that you want to exclude someone from, and then you can check these boxes and click Save. If you simply want to make some adjustments, so that the adjustments we could make would be a negative bid adjustment for these higher age groups, or maybe a positive bid adjustment for some of these other age groups. To do that, though, you see there's no option right now for me to do that in this, what I'm looking at. You can only make those adjustments at the ad group level. So I'd want to switch this back to the ad group view. And then you see the option here to adjust. So let's say I wanted to exclude 55 to 64, and I wanted to exclude 65 plus, or I want to change the bids. What I can do is select all of those age groups. We're going to select all of those ad groups at a time by clicking at the top, holding down Shift, and then clicking at the bottom, and that'll select all of them. And I accidentally said exclude, but you actually can exclude age groups here. You would do Edit, change bid adjustments, and you could decrease 100%, or you could exclude from ad group here, and that would exclude those age groups from the campaign. Or you could also just change the bid adjustment. So one thing we might want to do is decrease the bid for those age groups I just selected by 25%. and apply. So that means then we wouldn't be bidding as aggressively if someone is in those age groups. We wouldn't pay as much per click on average, and then therefore we wouldn't pay as much per conversion. The other option would be to select some of the age groups that were performing better and increase the bids on those, 25%, 50%, whatever you want to do. That means we are going to be bidding more aggressively for those particular age groups. We're going to then pay higher cost per click, but that's going to allow us to get more clicks. So if the cost per click goes up, the conversion rate goes up, that would be fine in that case because we were already paying a low cost per conversion. If we can get a lot more customers by paying a little more per conversion, that would or that could be fine. It just depends on your business and how much you're really looking to pay per lead or per sale. The other thing you can look at would be gender. So male, female, or unknown, meaning the gender is unknown to Google. And you can see here, females, cost per conversion is a little lower than males. Again, you can adjust accordingly. Another thing that could be done a little more advanced is set up separate campaigns for males and females, because perhaps it's the messaging. Maybe you need to talk to females more, or talk to females in a different way than you would talk to males. A woman who wants to hire a junk removal company might be thinking about different things than a man who wants to hire a junk removal company. Now, when I had my junk removal company, I won't get into that whole story, but that's how I got into Google Ads. We couldn't adjust based on male or female at that time. This is relatively new. But if that was an option, I would have set up separate campaigns for men and women, because men and women do care about different things when it comes to hiring a junk removal company. And if that's your business, you should dig into that type of thing and know what that is, especially if there's a difference in conversions between men and women. If there's not much of a difference, maybe you don't really need to speak to them in different ways. I wouldn't say not to. That's part of optimizing and testing things in an account. If you think that that could produce better results, go ahead and give that a try. But where it is more obvious, more important, is when you have these big differences between genders. You don't necessarily want to exclude men altogether, but maybe some different messaging in the ads and on the landing page could appeal more to more men. The other demographic is household income. Now, I would be very careful with this. Google doesn't have the best information on household income. So as you can see, there's not much correlation. This is going up and down. There's not really much correlation at all between income levels. If this was good data and if there was a correlation here, I would expect to see the lowest cost per conversion here, the next lowest, and then it would get higher as we got into lower income levels. Obviously, that's not happening, and that is why I don't put too much trust in the income levels. And then you have combinations. If you want to, you can look at these different combinations. So age 18 to 24 females in the top household income, for example. You can get really specific and see what the data looks like for that. Unless you have a ton of data in an account, it's going to be hard to find a lot of useful information here. If you're only getting a handful of conversions for each combination, it's not going to tell you a whole lot of useful information. Let's look at one other account. So this is someone who is teaching piano lessons. And again, I'm going to go to the account view. Well, actually, in this case, since we have a remarketing campaign here, which I guess doesn't have data, but if we have a, this is the main campaign, the main search campaign that has been running. So let's just look at this campaign, and then we'll just look at the campaign view for just this search campaign. And you can see here the ages are pretty skewed. This 25 to 34 age group is converting much better than the older age group, like more than 3 times better. So this might be a situation where you would actually exclude some of these age groups rather than just adjusting the bid, and then just focus the campaign, focus the messaging on this younger demographic. Gender too, you see a pretty big difference here. For some reason, men are converting at a higher rate than women. I will say too that this particular account, I showed it in another video, it doesn't look like every conversion is being tracked for this landing page. This is tracking people filling out a form on the page. It is not tracking people who are calling. So it could simply be that men have a higher likelihood of actually filling out that form, and that's why they're getting tracked here, because they're the ones filling out the forms, whereas women might have a higher likelihood of picking up the phone and making the phone call. And since the phone calls are not being tracked, that could be why it's showing a lower conversion rate here. It may just have to do with the tracking. So I say it a lot, but make sure you are tracking everything you can. You need good data to work with here as you're making these decisions in your campaign. So I'll wrap up this video with that. My name is Kyle Sullerud, and I'll see you in the next video.